Hello, God bless, Lee Rice here, with Esperimento Sociale, world's greatest exchange rates, where I've sat here with the $10 that an adult gave last night. A group of Americans walked past. So I'm sorry, I've only got dollars. And there it is right there. So while I sat here as a writer of 19 songs in Campo de Fiori, with many people I know all around, including my friends at Gioridi restaurant, last night, where I watched them taking their pictures right here 2 years, 4 months ago, from that distance away and walking away, while I watched them while I placed coins on the ground right there, while they picked them up and walked away, while I placed that there today and a couple picked it up and were going to walk away, while I sit here as a writer of 19 songs in Campo de Fiori, right here, in almost exactly the same position, 2 years and 4 months later, with many people who know exactly who I am, with my musical partners GF Ultra, the Alien Brothers, Dr. Smooth Vibes, and these are the results while I've sat here today for 5 hours in this adult society. So, I've sat here saying Esperimento Sociale, world's greatest exchange rates, on repeat for 5 hours, saying I'll offer you there from the one person who stopped, the one single person who stopped last night in 2 hours. I'll offer you the world's greatest exchange rates. I'll give you this $10 right there for €7. I checked the exchange rates and it's 1 for 1. So as a writer of 19 songs in Campo de Fiori, with my musical partners too, with all the people around who know exactly who I am, a writer of 25 years, I can return to the same position 2.5 years, 2 years and 4 months later, the exact same position, get a chair from my friends in Gioridi restaurant, right there. I know the manager very well. Give me a cafe for free this morning. I can return to exactly the same position. And in 2 hours, last night, that's the results from one single adult in the adult society. And these are the results today, while I've visibly been teaching the children on repeat, every single child that's come past in this adult society. So, these are the results today in 5 hours, while I've kept that going for 5 hours, from the only adults that stopped in Campo de Fiori last night. During the 5 hours I've kept that going and visibly been teaching the children on repeat, sharing the truth, like I did in Napoli, of the greatest artists of all time, on repeat. And I'm listening to my playlist of the greatest artists of all time too. So, these are the adult results crossing Campo de Fiori, Rome, in 5 hours today. I've already mentioned the 2 hours last night. That's the result of last night. One single adult. The results in 5 hours in Campo de Fiori, in this adult society, while I sit with friends, as a writer of 19 songs in exactly this position, are exactly this. In 5 hours in this adult society, in Rome, crossing Campo de Fiori, one single adult, a lady I recognised from last time I was here, came over with €2 in this adult society in 5 hours for a writer of 19 songs, visibly teaching the children and offering them $10 for €7 in this adult society crossing Campo de Fiori of Rome. While I visibly teach the children on repeat, they reject it completely without, as I demonstrated in Napoli too, this is double what 99.9% of the adults crossing Campo de Fiori would offer a writer of 19 songs in Campo de Fiori. That is double what any of them, right there, would offer. While I repeat, visibly teaching the children, on repeats, a writer of 19 songs in exactly this position with friends around me. This is what the adult society have become. They fail to recognize music or art from a writer, teaching the children and sharing the truth of the greatest artist of all time. For 5 hours, one single adult would offer even half of that, while offering them that for €7. This is what the adult society have become. They fail to recognize music or art, like I shared from Napoli. They fail to even acknowledge it. They fail to have any compassion whatsoever for their brothers and sisters, even when they can visibly hear the writer returning to exactly the same position, teaching the children. Ciao bambini, I bambini possono vedere, è un miracolo Dio i bambini. They fail to acknowledge even their own language, from the returning writer sitting in exactly the same position, offering them $10 for €7. They fail to acknowledge a writer in exactly the same position, right here, exactly the same position. 2 years and 4 months later, I'm sharing my own truth. I'm teaching the children on repeats, and they reject every single piece of it, the adult society, without compassion, without care for music or art. They reject it all, completely reject it all. Without compassion, without care for music or art, they reject every single piece of it and keep checking that way instead. Exactly what they were doing last time I was here. They'll even walk past the writer and pick up that. Or, as I demonstrated last time I was here, and in Napoli too, from that distance away, rather than them acknowledge the music or art, they'll pick that up too and walk away. This is what they've become. Absolutely void of emotion, it's just truth, void of emotion, void of compassion, where they wouldn't offer free artists, the returning writer, in exactly the same position. I've written 19 songs. They wouldn't offer 10 cents if I offered them that. I could offer them that, as I did last time I was here. I could offer them that, and they would still reject it. They reject music, they reject art, complete rejection of music and art. They fail to acknowledge the writer teaching the children on repeats. They fail to acknowledge the truth of the greatest artist on repeats. This is what they've become, the adult society, in the calmest possible way as I return to see my friends and many market traders I know. They are void of emotion, void of compassion, completely void of compassion. They fail to acknowledge music and art. They fail to even recognize it. They wouldn't offer, like I've just thrown on the ground right there, they'd walk past that even closer, pick it up, and walk away. This is what's going on in the adult society. They fail to acknowledge anything at all. They've lost all compassion, all care for music and art. A law are non-important. They just don't care. They fail to even acknowledge it from 1 single meter away. One couple in exactly this position, while I've maintained that for 5 hours, saying Esperimento Sociale, world's greatest exchange rate. One couple picked that up and was starting to walk away, while directly next to a writer of 19 songs, plus my musical partners, plus homeless brother, in exactly the same position I was, while they were doing exactly the same as that, while I placed dollars on the ground, right there, while I placed coins on the ground, right here. They're doing exactly the same as they were 2 years and 4 months ago, in exactly the same position. This is what they've become, the adult society. They ultimately do not care. They fail to acknowledge music and art. They fail to acknowledge the writer teaching the children on repeats. Example, Is this the real life thriller about responding to people breaks when you're going to make the sounds? Randomly selected codes. I'm doing all of this stuff on repeats, and they are unbelievably selfish. They fail to acknowledge anything at all that's taking place directly in front of them. They fail to have dieci centesimi, all that on the ground, for a writer, artist, poet, musician, homeless brother or sister, or man on his knees. The adult society are selfish fools. Just the truth. I return to the same position, and this is what they've become. Absolutely vuoto assoluto, void of all emotion. They just don't care. They fail to acknowledge anything at all that's taking place directly in front of them. While I sit here with friends and many people who know me, as a returning artist, I don't have my guitar. It was stolen. They fail to acknowledge it. They'll even pick that up, like they did last time I was here, and they'll pick that up too, and just keep walking. I repeat, returning artist returns to exactly the same position as a writer of 19 songs in this position in 5 hours. One single adult crossing Campo de Fiori would offer even half of that right there on the ground. And one couple even picked that up and started to walk away. God bless.